Hey, what the hell are you doing walking around dressed like Star Wars?
It's Comic-Con, you idiot. We're going to the Javits Center.
Well, you're the idiots, because you three guys would never be walking together.
Yeah, you're his boss, and you two guys are enemies.
Yeah, bite me, Captain Kirk.
Hey, whoa, come on. No, that's Star Trek.
Yeah, that's two different franchises.
Yeah, sorry, guys. She doesn't know.
Nah, it's okay. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Let's go.
Oh, hey, come on. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Not worth it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fanzone Debate. We are here for the final match in round number 1 of this tournament. We have the number 8 seed Adelaide Spence going up against the number 1 seed Jacoby Bancroft. I am looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be really exciting. Spence has been on a tear, did really well in the last word event, then ended up knocking out Brooklyn Vale earlier this season to earn their spot here in the tournament today. Jacoby, on the other hand, former champion, a guy who since losing the belt has challenged for it once again, but has always kind of had like a, I don't want to say rocky because I feel like that's not true. Like he's just had some big wins and then he's had some big losses to other people who went on to play for the belt. So whenever he loses, it's against people who are fantastic. But unfortunately, that's what happens when you're very good and your record is very good. And but anyway, all of this is to say, I think Spence has a real shot here. Spence has been playing great, like I said, and Jacoby hasn't played in a hot second, so I think it's gonna be good. So let's get into the match. Oh, Payson and Javi are here to judge this one with me. Thank you guys. Badadi dabadai. Anyway, let's get into it. Starting with the rules. Here's how it's gonna work. There are going to be 4 prep questions based on categories that the players drafted. They drafted the categories. We gave them the questions. They're going to debate them tonight before our very souls. So how it's going to work is they're each going to get a 1-minute opening followed by a 5-minute freeform followed by a 1-minute closing. At the end of the debate, Payson, Javi, and I will write on our boards who we thought won the debate. If you get 2 out of 3 votes, you win the point. If you get 3 points, you win the match. Players, any questions as we kick this one off?
Let's do this. Oh boy. Yeah. Let's rock it, Spence.
All right. All right. We're going to kick this off with the first category and first question, which was drafted by Jacoby in the category of Fight Night. Your question is, which character in a Fight Night film would you want as a bodyguard? Jacoby, because you drafted this, you get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Shang Tsung from the 95 Mortal Kombat is who I would want as a bodyguard. On a power level, his skill set is perfect for being a bodyguard. Number 1, he's a shapeshifter. Whether I want my bodyguard to turn into a hulking mass like Goro for intimidation or like shapeshift into someone smaller like an everyday human to blend into a crowd to remain a secret, he can do easily, which means I'm always safe in almost any situation. He can turn my attackers into like mindless slaves like he did with the mortal enemies Scorpion and Sub-Zero, neutralizing any threat. And he even has the power to bring people back from the dead with his dark sorcery. So, that's great for me overall who wants to live. On top of all that, he's a sly, funny, and charming sorcerer, and the conversation would be interesting, which, yes, is not the main point, but I do think that is a factor for someone who I'm going to be around all the time as he protects me. But all of that, the varied powers and interesting personality, just proves that I think in every way, Shang Tsung is who I would want as a bodyguard overall. I'm not going over this time.
Okay. Let's go over to Spence. Spence, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
If I want to be protected, I think it is very reasonable to assume that I want somebody who is selfless, a very strong fighter, immortal, literally a god. I think there is no way that Raiden is not the correct pick. I think that he is all powerful, being a god. He has lightning powers. He has a dope as fuck hat. I don't care about camouflaging with the rest of them. He just looks cool. I think that in his actual powers, in his strength of his abilities, I think he's able to protect me and his presence within the films. He cares a lot about Earth realms, earthen peoples. I think that he is driven. He is motivated to protect me and everybody around me. When my safety is in danger, he cares about me first and foremost. Even in the film, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, in the original timeline, I should specify, he is willing to give up his mortality to protect his Earth fighters. If that isn't the sign of a great bodyguard, someone who treasures my safety, I don't know what is.
Okay. All right. Great openings. 5-minute freeform. When one of you starts talking, I will throw up the 1-minute warning when the time comes. If you're talking over your opponent, I'm going to throw up the let your opponent talk. Don't make me do that. Nick smells, and I'll have to send him to you to, I don't know, say hey, say what's up. But it's going to smell bad, so don't make me do it. 5-minute freeform when one of you starts.
I love that you brought up the Mortal Kombat Annihilation specifically because when he's willing to give his life for his fighter who he's trying to protect, and what happens to the fighter he's trying to protect? He gets his neck fucking snapped. Johnny Cage is ganked very early on because Raiden cannot protect him. You chose somebody who has proven in the films that he cannot protect somebody in the movie, as opposed to, and so he cannot use his powers to protect you. Shang Tsung, on the other hand, has all these varied abilities in order to do it, in order to protect me, and I will remain much safer.
Oh, yeah, because every person that he has chosen to represent him within the tournament wins all their matches, is safe. Goro doesn't fucking die. Molina doesn't fucking die. His representatives are still dying throughout the film. In Annihilation, Raiden loses one dude after like a very quick fight. The numbers are on my side. Your guy literally fucking loses. All of his lackeys lose, and then he loses the tournament. He doesn't even beat fucking Raiden himself. He does not have the ability to protect even himself. Raiden still fucking survives after giving up his mortality.
I don't care.
People in Annihilation.
You keep saying. You keep saying Raiden is immortal. Raiden is immortal. Raiden has all these powers. Yeah, that's great that he's immortal. I don't care that he's immortal. My bodyguard can live. I need to survive this, Spence. I need to be able to do this. Raiden is the worst choice for a bodyguard because you know what he does? He does the worst thing a bodyguard could do. He makes you fend for himself. He makes you fend for yourself. There's literally a scene where his fighters have to fight, and then it pans to Raiden sitting on the stairs and being like, you have to do this on your own type thing, which is ridiculous. I don't want my bodyguard to do that. I want my bodyguard to be ruthless. I want my bodyguard to get the job done, and I want my bodyguard to have a variety of abilities in order to inflict as much pain and suffering on my enemies so I survive.
Oh, I'm sorry you don't want to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Put in the fucking work. Just pay someone else to protect you? No. You gotta learn how to defend yourself. You're
That's
gonna
what a
end up all,
bodyguard is.
like weak and feeble. No, it's better like they're there for like the big fucking guys. If some like random ass dude's like, hey, can I have $20 or I'm gonna shoot you? Clock the fucker in the face. It's not up to him to be like, no, you know what, you got it. A bodyguard should be there when he is needed. What you're Shang Tsung, your guy there, he doesn't even do shit. He lets everyone else take the work. And then when it is his time to do something, he still fails.
He doesn't do shit when people are attacking, when people are in the way, when he needs to get the job done, he rips their souls from their body, intimidating every single person all around them in order to do that. That's scary from someone who's trying to attack me. If that's my bodyguard, that's going to be so much better than someone like Raiden, who if I'm trying to attack you, Spence, and I know Raiden is going to be hands off, that's great for me. It's like, sure, give it a try. I don't need my bodyguard to let me.
When I start losing, he'll come in.
Me.
That's the important part. When he's needed, he'll do his fucking job.
When he's needed, that is the point of a bodyguard. When he is needed, he will come and protect me. Raiden will be like, you have to find within yourself in order to do this, but I can't do anything else at that time. Maybe you can handle it. That's what Raiden sounds like, which would make him a horrible bodyguard if you have to be around him all the time, because you're going to hear that 24/7, while Shang Tsung is actually proven to be funny and kind, and the powers just funny and kind overall. I mean, like he just makes the best bodyguard.
I think you're incorrect again. I still think the numbers are on my side. Shang Tsung is seen to be more consistently ineffective in his protection. But even beyond that, you were at a fundamental disadvantage because you are from Earth. You are from Earthrealm. Shang Tsung fucking hates your guts. He has no reason to protect you. You have no money. You have no powers. He will entirely disregard your safety. He will abandon you at the first sign of conflict.
I hate that argument in terms of like who I am, because the point of the question is that he is my bodyguard. He is protecting me. What if you are not from Earth either, Spence? What if you are an evil person that Raiden doesn't want to protect? What if you are not one of the chosen fighters that Raiden needs to bring about? They're not going to protect you. It doesn't matter who we are. It matters their own skill set in order to do it. And someone with shape-shifting abilities, someone who can blend in the crowd, become big or become small, someone who can rip souls from bodies, who can turn your enemies against you, and who can and bring people back from the dead, which is great for a bodyguard, is much better than someone who just shoots lightning at you and lets you fight themselves.
The question is, who do you want as a bodyguard? Obviously, incredibly subjective. But I'm saying as me right now, when I go walk out on the streets of Cincinnati, Ohio, I am on Earth. The judges are from Earth. Raiden loves all of us. His like singular journey, his drive as a god, he can do anything he wants in all of the realms. He chooses to care about Earth realm. Shang Tsung wants to fundamentally destroy all of us and imprison us in hell. Your guy will not stick beside you. He'll be like, oh yeah, I'll like protect you. And the second some like dude with like fucking wings or claws comes by, he'll say, fuck you, you don't pay me enough, and then he'll like turn into a slave forever or some shit.
No, if he wants to protect me, if he wants to be ordered to do that, and if that is his job to do it, then I would want him to send my enemies to hell. Raiden doesn't have to do that, because if you're not a fighter for the combat, then it's a moot point. It doesn't matter.
It's close, Jacoby. Let's go to Spence first. Adelaide, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
At the end of the day, I think Shang Tsung is a singularly motivated, selfish character. I think that he has no reason to invest his time with you. The second that there is a better opportunity comes by, or once he realizes that you don't have any power, you don't have your Arcana or fucking whatever it is in Mortal Kombat, he will not protect you. He will let you go to someone else. His powers do not matter when he abandons you. Raiden's entire journey as a character within the Mortal Kombat universe is protecting Earthrealm, protecting human beings. He wants to be with you. There is nothing that he won't do, from literally using his godly powers to smite a motherfucker or give up his immortality. Yes, Johnny Cage died, but there are still a dozen characters who he protected. The entire Earth is protected because of his motivation and his powers. Also, at the end of the first movie, Raiden literally beat Shang Tsung. If I find you in the fucking streets, say, hey, my dad can beat up your dad, my dad's winning the fight. Fuck Shang Tsung. Your soul is mine.
All right, that's great. Let's go over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Shang Tsung would make for an incredible bodyguard. His skill set is uniquely tailored to be in a bodyguard role, with the shape-shifting element being an incredible deterrent for anyone attacking me, because he can shapeshift into anyone, meaning a giant monster or a small civilian, to blend into a crowd. Raiden does not blend in, does not do anything. He just stands there with a big hat or stands off to the sidelines. It does not work. Plus, I feel safe with Shang Tsung's dark sorcery powers, because then, like, you know, he could resurrect me if I died, which is a huge factor. And it doesn't matter that he is an evil guy, because he is protecting me. He is doing what needs to be done in order to do that. Maybe I'm valuable to the Mortal Kombat tournament in some way. Either way, if he's my bodyguard, he's my bodyguard, no matter what. Raiden is incredibly limited for protection. He just sits there and lets you try to fight for himself. As Spence said, it's like, yeah, he'll let you learn himself. I'm sorry, I don't want that for a bodyguard, in case I fucking die like Johnny Cage does. I do not want to do that. He does not protect people very well throughout it all, while Shang Tsung is evil and he's going to terrify my enemies. He makes it to anybody who wants to attack me, no matter what. No one's going to mess with me when I have the Lord of Darkness on my side.
Jacoby, Mr. doesn't want to go over. You're cutting it real close, my friend. That was great, guys. Good shit.
That was fun.
Okay.
Jacoby, where's the Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Okay.
I don't believe you. There it is. Fine, never mind. I believe you now.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. This was really good. I'm gonna explain why. I think Spence was bullshitting me for a lot of this. Why do I say that? They had to watch the movies before they picked an answer in the chat. I know this. That being said, I think Spence did really good. And by bullshit, I mean came up with a really good argument based on what they knew about this. And they had me for a lot of it. I did ultimately go with Jacoby. The argument that kind of won me over was given they both brought up the question and kind of phrasing it around themselves and like how would they be protected. And I think Jacoby did something really smart where gave instances of Raiden literally giving the people he's supposed to protect being like, you have to do this yourself for no apparent real reason. Spence's argument of like Raiden protects the Earth and the Earth is like the whole Earth is safe. Like, who cares if one person dies like that? It was really close to me, but I think Jacoby just barely eked it out. That this was really close considering the fact that I don't think Spence likes these movies very much. Payson, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I saw the answers in the chat, I thought one person definitely had the correct answer, but the other person, I think, gave the better argument. And with that, yeah, I also went with Jacoby. I think the way how Jacoby just explained the abilities of Shang Tsung, like, perfectly shows, like, yeah, he would kind of be a great bodyguard. I think also Jacoby did a great job at just sort of shooting out a point that Spence was trying to make. Well, what if Shang Tsung is going to betray you because he hates you? And Jacoby said, no, the question is, who do I want as my bodyguard? That is sort of inherent in the question. Now, I do think Spence did a really brought up a great point in the final argument of, hey, Shang Tsung and Raiden fought, and Raiden won and almost had me. But then Jacoby did another Halo Mary of, well, if I die, Shang Tsung could literally just raise me back from the dead. So Shang Tsung is kind of the way Jacoby painted him as, like, the ultimate, like, perfect bodyguard. So, yeah, Jacoby does get my vote.
Okay, Javi, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why?
Yeah, clean sweep. I also went with Jacoby. I think, yeah, Payson brought up a really good point of, like, Jacoby brought up a good point that Payson brought up. I want to be clear specifically. I'm not saying, like, Payson changed my mind. Obviously, I had it written down. Anyway, yeah, it's just the, like, sure, maybe Raiden's more powerful or whatever. But if you die, Shang Tsung's just going to be like, nah, you're alive. You did it. Congrats. Do over.
You did.
Let's rewind that one back. Additionally, I think also, like, Jacoby's point of, like, no, you have to do it yourself. I can't interfere. Well, that's the whole point of the bodyguard is you are supposed to interfere. So, like, I don't know. I think Spence fought valiantly, especially as a fellow person who does not like these movies. Yeah, it's tough to. No,
there's one good movie, and it was not debated today.
I don't think that one is good either. Anyway,
I like the
they don't do a Mortal Kombat in it. They don't do it.
Well, that I know. The animated ones are good though. Okay, so here we go.
It needs to be animated. I think that's just you're going to get the best.
I would agree with that. All right, so Jacoby is in the lead 1-0, but we're going to move on to the second question, which was drafted by Adelaide in the category of actors and actresses. Your question is, what is the best film featuring Judy Garland? Spence, you drafted this. You get to kick it off. 1 minute when you start talking.
Giving some perspective for myself. I don't understand the concept of war films. I don't think there's a lot to really gain from the idea of witnessing war, witnessing the effects of soldiers getting involved. I think Judgment at Nuremberg is the epitome of what war films should be and how history should be categorized. I think that it is an incredible achievement in filmmaking and in storytelling by having an incredibly no-holds-barred direct interaction and conflict with the fallout of World War II. You are having this incredible moral questioning of the judges of, were they a part of the regime? Are they at fault for following through these laws, or were they simply following orders? Is that an executable action? And I think beyond that, you are filled with incredible performances. Yes, Judy Garland, Spencer Tracy, Burt Lancaster, and Max Shell all earned Oscar nomination, and there are a dozen more cast members who are just as talented.
Okay, we're going to go over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Wizard of Oz is the best film featuring Judy Garland. There has never been or will there ever really be a turning point in movie history quite like Wizard of Oz. It is the fundamental cornerstone movie that you could argue lays a blueprint for like what we call cinema going forward. And while you may or may not take stock in like cultural impact and legacy when deciding best film, I do believe it's a huge factor. But beyond that, the movie itself is just a classic. It's a big, grand, sweeping epic of a film with the most memorable, unique characters of all time, probably arguably the most well-known and scary villain of all time, and a magical, grand story pared down to good versus evil, told through the eyes of Judy Garland, who is fantastic in the movie. It's the movie almost everyone sees and connects to in some way, adult or child, because it's so magical, so game-changing, and so enthralling, and it still resonates like almost 100 years, 90, 100 years later, and for a reason. So without a doubt, the best film featuring Judy Garland is Wizard of Oz.
Time. All right. Wizard of Oz, Judgment, Nuremberg, 5-minute freeform. When one of you starts talking.
I understand. Like, I listened to you talk. I know that you brought up like, oh, it's the blueprint of it, but it's also good. Let's go back to that first thing, because I don't think it holds up. I think that we have better adaptations with like The Wiz or Wicked. I think there are better ways to tell stories within this universe. What we have right now is a really fucking boring fairy tale with really annoying side characters. The Munchkins fucking suck. The Cowardly Lion fucking sucks. The Tin Man and the Scarecrow have like nothing to offer. I understand that it's like iconic and it is like the bones for storytelling, but when you're actually sitting down and engaging with the film, it is incredibly childish, derogatory. It is not engaging with your deeper sense of emotions yourself.
I don't think that's true. And I think the reason why it's still around and we're still discussing it 90 years later proves that it's still tapping into something very deep within us all. Because yes, it is a fairy tale, and it's not a dumb fairy tale or even a bad fairy tale. It is a simple fairy tale of a girl going through an extraordinary adventure with some of the amazing characters by her side in a magical land far from her own as she tries to get back. That is so powerful and so important for that time. And it does it so well. It is not a boring movie by any means at all, but everything that happens, because it's scary, it's wonderful, it's magical, it's everything you need from a movie. The side characters rule. Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion all have merit and everything like that. But then you're taken away from Judgment of Nuremberg, which as I can't knock it like that much. I know it's quite long. Besides that, it's long, it's complicated, it's messy, but it's another courtroom movie in a sea of other like great courtroom movies. When you're talking about movies that do the same thing but told better, there are better stories. Every time I was watching this movie, there were other courtroom movies I want to be watching. Wizard of Oz is uniquely on its own, singular, and just a defining force for everything going forward.
I will tell you why what you said is emphatically incorrect, and that is two fucking names: Stanley Kramer. He is the reason this movie is not just a boring courtroom drama. The way that he holds the camera, the way that there are like slow pans and slow zooms and there are whips, it makes this like what should be like almost verbatim taken from the actual trials, like this like boring court talk. It should like lull you to sleep, but you are locked in. He inherently understands the language of cinema to keep you engaged in those 3 hours. When it leaves the courtroom, and like let's like when you go to like Judy Garland scene where she's talking to Spencer Tracy, you are locked in with her character. You understand everything she's going through within like two sentences, because he understands how to frame her and how to shoot her. Stanley Kramer is the reason this movie is perfection. Your movie has no one who elevates it to that status.
When you say Stanley Kramer is the reason that this movie is perfection, picture this movie without Stanley Kramer or anything else. There's nothing to it about the slight camera movements, everything. It's all performance based and nothing. I'm talking about something grander and overall best for everything that it does. That it tells a story that's single about a girl trying to get home, but sets it into this fantastical movie filled land that's the most memorable location of all time, as opposed to just a courtroom. Yes, your movie is important. Yes, your movie is quite good and compelling throughout it because of its great performance, but there's not magic in that, and there's not something that makes us fall in love with movies beyond that. The story itself is not a simple story or a bad story. It's a very relatable story that we can all get through. Try showing anybody else like some of Judgment of Nuremberg. A lot of people probably won't like it, and that's their fault for not doing it, because I think the movie is great. But I'm just saying, Wizard of Oz is the best film because it is the film.
if we're sitting here being like, oh, because it influenced everything in the future, therefore it's the best, then that fucking like horse jumping, it's like on a like individual frames, is the best movie ever made because it invented fucking cinema. That's not how this works. You're like, oh, let's ignore Stanley Kramer. Like that is the reason this stands out. And the reason that as you break it down, I think every individual element in this is perfect. It is aged incredibly. You watched it earlier this fucking week and you're like, yeah, I get it. I think if you show audiences today The Wizard of Oz, and you need to like, oh, here's the context, or here's why this works. Here's why Dorothy being annoying and a bland main character is actually for a reason. Here's why all of the characters at the end receiving the exact same fucking gift with like one word. Oh, here's your gift of heart, your gift of courage. Here's a fucking degree you didn't earn. It's stupid. It is a story for children that is like, oh, but you'll learn from this. Any generation can watch Judgment at Nuremberg and they will be educated and they will feel enlightened by like not only cinema but the story that they've been told.
No, yeah, 8-year-olds will love Judgment at Nuremberg. Just show that them, pop that on a Sunday afternoon. That'll be great for them. That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. 8-year-olds can love Wizard of Oz, and 8-year-olds will love it. Adults love Wizard of Oz and still do. They are showing their kids this movie because it is the movie to see. It is everything within a movie. Every plot point that you're nitpicking about Wizard of Oz is part of the magic of the movie itself. All the awards that they get at the end is a lesson learned about all these memorable side characters, which your movie is based off memorable characters, and like that's basically it. But you talk about memorable characters, Scarecrow, Tin Man, the man behind the curtain, everything about that is way more memorable. So if you're hanging it on memorable, that's not the way to go.
That's not what I'm saying.
All right, let's start with Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
When you think of best films, it's hard to quantify best, especially these two movies, because I think what makes these two movies their best in their respective fields are so different. These movies really could not be more different than one another. But when it comes down to it, the strengths of Wizard of Oz are stronger than the strengths of Judgment at Nuremberg. At its peak, Judgment of Nuremberg is a great court movie with a fantastic moral greatness in the center and powerful performances with great directing. Yes, I concede that point, and that's great. But Wizard of Oz is a magical film experience unlike any other. Even though the movie is like 90 years old, you don't lose any 1 ounce of that magic. Spence is knocking down the plot points of the movie, but it all feeds into the magic of it, and you feel that joy, that triumph of watching Dorothy go through this. Plus, yes, the performances in Judgment of Nuremberg are good, but don't forget the underrated performances in Oz. It is iconic for a reason. Scarecrow, Dorothy, the Wicked Witch of the West are all give iconic performances, while the Judgment of Nuremberg performances are good. It has remained a cornerstone film for all these years for a reason, and it's because Wizard of Oz is not just the best film featuring Judy Garland, it's one of the best films, period.
Whoa, best film, period. Strike it from the record. Spence, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
No one is calling The Three Little Pigs or Cinderella the greatest stories ever told. Just because they're the backbone of a lot of stories in the future, have a strong moral center, does not mean they are pinnacles within art. You keep acknowledging my exact points that the plot is not great. You're saying, oh yeah, this isn't great, but it's iconic. But modern generations, they learn a lot from it. That's not what we're arguing. We are arguing the best film. My movie has better performances, better direction, a better screenplay. I think that Judgment at Nuremberg is a hallmark classic within modern cinema, and also it was revolutionary at the time. It fulfills both quantities of your film because it is haunting and it is powerful. It teaches future generations to not only not repeat the flaws within 1940s Germany, at the exact same time, it challenges the moral quandaries in the gray area of the time of what do you do with this. It has such a difficult conversation that it manages to lock you in for 3 hours with some of the best performances ever put to film. I understand that Wizard of Oz is iconic, but nothing can hold the power of Judgment at Nuremberg.
That movie really 3 hours? I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list.
190 minutes, 310.
Love it. I'm no stranger to the long film. Now, getting the macaw to watch anything longer than 90 minutes, unless it's almost in it.
I did almost pick 54 as A Star Is Born if you want like 245.
Best movie of all time is 3 hours and 9 minutes. So I can't.
Return of the King.
Magnolia.
Avengers Endgame.
Return of the King is 3 hours and 21 minutes.
Yeah.
2 Towers. I think it's like 302 or something.
259, I believe. I hate that I know that, but I do.
And that's theatrical cut, obviously.
Fellowship extended cut.
It's like 3.5, something like that.
Fucking Christ, Tim. Okay.
I don't know the exact timing on that. Side tangent, because I can't help myself. The credits on all 3 extended editions are like 20 minutes long because they put every name of every person in the One Ring fan club in the credits. So if you ever watch those movies and it says that it's like 4 hours and 20 minutes, it's actually like 4 hours. Besides the point. Oh, are you good, Payson? Sorry.
I'm sorry. This was genuinely a really tough.
My anecdote is not for naught then. Love it.
It's really tough. I agree, Payson.
I'm so happy I'm not starting. Have fun, Javi.
I think you are starting.
No, you are starting.
Oh, I am? Okay, I thought it went.
Oh, and your camera's fixed. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, only for like 3 seconds. It'll go
You
back
went last, right? Javi, I have you guys.
Yeah. I thought it went.
You're going
first. Yeah, this was tough because I'm not a huge. I haven't seen Judgment in Nuremberg, and I'm not a huge Wizard of Oz fan. I acknowledge its importance, but I've never been a huge fan. My friend Josh from Fandom has said if a movie is better than The Wizard of Oz, it's a good movie, and if it's worse, it's a bad movie, and that's the line, which I think is funny. He's wrong. It's a little better than that, but I went with Jacoby again. I think Spence was too hung up on knocking down why Wizard of Oz wasn't impactful and wasn't good, as opposed to Judgment at Nuremberg, where I just didn't get a lot out of it, and it's unfortunate I haven't seen the movie, so I literally had nothing to go off of other than the direction's really good and the screenplay is really good. I never really got an example of that, really, as opposed to Jacoby, which kind of opened me up as to why the Wizard of Oz is still going right now. So I went with Jacoby. That was just my 2 cents on it.
Okay. I disagree with Javi. I went with Adelaide.
Yes.
I did not. No offense to Jacoby. I love Jacoby. I did not think it was that close. Payson and Javi seemed to think that. I thought Spence crushed this one personally. That's my 2 cents. I think, and maybe it's because Spence was loud because they're passionate about this specific subject that they kind of had me convinced. But I think Spence did a really good job of convincing me that, yes, Wizard of Oz is iconic, but it's one of those things that is just kind of like, there's nothing to it, versus Judgment at Nuremberg is a very powerful, incredible performances. I felt like they did give me examples of when the direction is really great. They talked more about like the filmmaking and stuff, which I think definitely like goes into the question of the best movie. And I do think Jacoby did well. Like I'm with Javi. I don't like. It's not that I don't like it. I think The Wizard of Oz is fine. It's just it's fine. I think it's the correct choice in this question, given the question. But I think Jacoby did a good job arguing it. I just think Spence did a really good job pro-Judgment, anti-Wizard. I don't think Jacoby necessarily capitalized on the anti-Judgment as much. Payson, am I cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and is Javi?
Well, Brian Michaels, you are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but not because of this.
Thank you.
Like I said, I thought this was really tough. I hate this, not just because I have to judge, but because I know I'm going to be getting a very angry DM because I'm going with Jacoby. I think Spence was put in a very tough perspective trying to knock Wizard of Oz, and I think they did the best they possibly could, but I think Jacoby kind of really exemplified why The Wizard of Oz is so effective despite being such a simple story. I think Jacoby says, hey, look, this is a universal. This is a fairy tale. this is what we want, and the fact that it has endured for so long, and the fact that it is so and the fact that people still show it to so many generations today really does speak to it. And I think Jacoby did a great job when Spence said, "Do you show judgment in Nuremberg to anyone?" Jacoby said, "Yeah, show 8-year-olds judgment in Nuremberg." If Spence was going to bring up that argument, I just think Jacoby had a really great counter. I do think Jacoby Spence did bring up some like examples of like what sets judgment in Nuremberg apart, but I just think for me Jacoby just kind of had a handle on the argument a little bit better.
All right. That means Jacoby is up 2-0. Spence needs to hit this next one in order to send it to the bonus. The category.
Sorry, I just had to respond. Spence, that hook language thing for the language flip scene I just saw there, I was wondering if they were going to do that because it was like 20 minutes in and just like, are they going to do this translation the whole time?
I popped the fuck off when it happened. It's great.
Yeah, but okay.
Oh, I didn't even see that either. Oh, they do the thing from
it's like
they have like an ear translator, and then Max Middleton goes from German to English, and it's like cinema.
That's cool. I like that shit. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Next question, drafted by Jacoby. It is in the category of action adventure. The question is, which non-fandom action film has the best villain?
Action or adventure film.
Yeah, we kind of both did adventure.
Right. Didn't we? Action or adventure film. Yeah, that's fine. Your answer's first. Yeah. Okay. Jacoby, that means you're starting. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Warden Walker from Holes, I think, is the best villain in a non-fandom adventure film. She does not get the credit she deserves for having tenacity, drive, and ambition, almost unlike any other villain. She's top tier. A tragic childhood, forced to be with her crazy grandpa digging holes stupidly by themselves every day, even on Christmas. So while her grandpa was too dumb to think bigger, Walker grows up, and does she do the same thing? No, she creates an ingenious system. She takes advantage of troubled youth who no one cares about, basically can treat them like prisoners, forces them to dig holes for her every day, and she's like rewarded for it. It's efficient, it's ruthless, it's above board, and it's praised by that society as actually helping the boys. So Warden Walker is absolutely vicious. She'll poison you, she'll murder kids, she'll create paper trails so she's not culpable, and she's just like overall intimidating and scary. And she has an amazing plan that turns her horrible upbringing into the best success imaginable. That pivot from where she started to what she created is masterclass. Walker is the best villain.
It's kind of an action film. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's go over to Spence. Spence,
There's
you
like
have
guns sometimes.
Yeah, you got 1 minute when you start talking.
Debatably, the greatest opening scene in cinema history is Inglourious Basterds, when Hans Landa, my pick, shows up to a farm and with very few words, purely on aura and intimidation, is able to capture your eyes. And for the next 2.5 hours, whether he's on screen or not, you live in constant fear of Christoph Waltz's character, giving one of the greatest performances of all time. He is able to serve as a representative of all of your greatest fears, your anxieties. You're scared to exist around this man because of how Hans Landa is portrayed and how he acts on screen, to the point that by the time you get to the final frame of the film, where he has a swastika carved on his head, you think there is maybe nothing that deserves it, that this character deserves more. His scene on the train is incredible. The way that he commands a room is uncomparable.
Time. All right. Great shit. All right. Freeform. One of you starts talking.
I'm not saying Waltz's performance isn't one of the best performances ever, because it is, but don't let that fool you, because look past the performance at actual character, and what do you get? He's kind of an idiot whose drive in the movie is essentially doing nothing. He's a dumb weasel who gets a really rewarding ending for us, the audience, but at the cost of looking really stupid of not realizing the danger he was in. Compare that to Walker, who only lost out in the end due to like cosmic destiny, which no mortal could possibly fight against. But before that, she was driven, she had a much better plan, and was a better villain.
Oh, I'm sorry that this officer in the Nazi regime who earned his way up by killing other people is a little stupid because he wanted to organize a propaganda film premiere. Your villain lost to lizards. She's like, oh shit, they got spots and tails. I'm terrified. That's fucking dumb. I'm sorry. The film leading up to it is cool, it's engaging, and then oh shit, poisonous lizards. My entire plan is gone. Come save me, Mr. Pendansky. It's all undone in the dumbest fucking way possible. You picked a children's film. I picked a film with adults with actual stakes. You were just undone by fucking nothing.
Look, no, that's not true at all. So Landa is an idiot. First of all, Landa knew everything about the bastards, how they operated, and he saluted himself in the beginning of his movie as knowing exactly how Jewish people thought. Now, I get that for dramatic irony. It's funny that Han so underestimates the bastards and thinks that they'll follow the rules that he gives himself up willingly. It makes for a real fun movie. But for a villain, it's lame. I hate when villains are not as smart as they think they are for the sake of story. Warden Walker is intelligent. Those yellow-spotted lizards are scary, yes, because if her plan would have followed suit, all those kids would have fucking died and they would have gotten it, but it didn't because the cosmic gods were preventing it from happening, and because of an ancient curse that was lifted. She could not fight against that, but she tried everything that she could, and she had a brilliant plan leading up to that in order to do that. So only fate got in her way. Hans Landa's stupidity did the burst, which makes him not the best character or the best villain.
I think saying a character is stupid does not undermine the presence they have on the film. I think that was like, oh, the plan didn't work well. Yeah, the fucking heroes had to win somehow. I think if we're comparing, oh, his ego was a little bit too big to, oh shit, cosmic poisonous lizards, I think one of those is more inherently unbelievable. I think at the end of the day, his ego undermining him is foreshadowed from the very first scene. He kills the entire family, but lets Shoshana live. Why? He thinks that she's going to go off and be scared the rest of her life and then won't fucking learn. That is his undoing. That is how he is written. That's what makes him interesting. Your girl had family trauma. That's like every fucking Disney movie in the past 15 years.
No, but it's done so well, and it shows how she could rise up from her really rough family upbringing and turn it into a system of a society that rewards her for what she does, of a plan that is incredibly efficient, the plan that is one of the best plans in any film ever in the history of ever. And because you know about her from her rise from where she started to what she became, that's what makes her a fantastic villain, Spence. As opposed to Hans Landa, who she says he lets her go, Shoshana go at the end because he's thinking this. We don't know why he does it. That's one of the questions of the movie itself. We don't know what makes Hans Landa tick. Because at the end of the day, he is all performance. His plan is dumb. He's outdone in the end by stupidity. And just by performance-wise, yes, he's scary. But so is Warden Walker, who will slash your throat with like poison nails and everything. And it's just intimidating and scary overall. In all my ways, Warden Walker rises up as a better villain overall.
Again, Hans Landa's ego is the reason that he does that. I think you're ignoring that point. But at the end of the day, I think that your character does not have enough screen time to really impose that intimidating presence. Pendansky and Mr. Sir are more effective villains than she comes in as, oh, the big boss at the end, like a fucking video game. No, she does not have the time to really build that intimidation factor that you're really pushing her as. We see her backstory, cool, and it's a fucking meme at most. It doesn't really give us depth to her character. There's more interesting things going on in the way past as we're seeing like the origin of the treasure. I think that she is not built up enough to have like this outstanding impact that you're putting on her.
Yeah, that's just totally not true there because, yes, you do get her past, which is great. You get Stanley Yelnats arriving at this prison run by the very ferocious and scary warden. Then when Stanley Yelnats meets her, it's like, oh, it's a woman. Oh, it's kind of nice. Maybe she's not so bad. Then she slashes Mr. Smiley's John Voight's like throat with the thing. She's like, get out of here because she does not care about all this bullshit about the seeds or whatever. She cares about her plan. And in order to do that, and the way she's gotten her plan is masterclass, is wonderful. Hans Landa doesn't really have a plan besides like, I'm just going to be terrifying. I'm going to sit and let things happen instead of being an active driving force in everything that they do, like Warden Walker is in the movie, which makes the whole movie. She might be in a limited screen time compared to Landa, but she makes those moments count.
But we're not arguing what villain had the best plan. We're not saying who concocted this bullshit from their family who's just fucking driven by treasure. She's like an uninteresting villain because she is singularly motivated. I think that Hans Landa is more interesting because of the way that he is motivated, the way that his ego really drives him to make these these faulted yet still driven decisions.
Okay, we're gonna start with Spence on this one. You get 1 minute when you start talking.
I think Jacoby and I are arguing a lot of similar points. We are both arguing these large, imposing villains who are a little bit in the beginning and then build up more and more presence as the film goes on. I think my villain not only is around longer, he has more of an imposing presence. Their undoings are both comically broad. I think the way that Hans Landa exists in the screen, you as the viewer are terrified sitting with those characters. Everything he does, he is unquestionable. He is motivated singularly by hate, and you are engaged with every step of the way. I think the Walker or the Warden is kind of like not the thing you go to the movie for. I think that her plan is kind of broad. Her lackeys are more interesting characters. She's undone by fucking lizards. Like, I think that it is almost stupid how much time and weight Jacoby is putting into this like mega maniacal villain who's pro-child slavery. When at the end of the day, she's just kind of ineffectual. She wants to make money, and that's it. That's really not interesting.
Time. Okay. We're going to go over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Warden Walker is the best villain here. Every movie should have a villain like Walker who started in a dark situation with an abusive grandpa that turned that into an opportunity by gaming the entire system, building her whole empire using free prison labor, and society essentially rewarding her for it while still being evil, vicious, manipulative, and scary. That's the best villain. Hans Landa is all performance. Spence is saying that his performance is what makes him so scary. That's true, and it's an Oscar-winning performance. That's all there is. He's undone by his own stupidness, and anytime you can link the words like stupid move with a villain, they should be excluded from the best villain list. Spence is saying that Warden Walker is undone by lizards. She's not. She's undone by cosmic fate itself, not just lizards. So, and we know so much about Walker, and that's what makes her so great. It's not necessary, but I think a well-defined backstory can add depth and meaning to a villain, and not having Landas means, again, we rely solely on presence. Warden Walker may not be as scary as Hans, but she was still vicious, manipulative, a little seductive, and driven beyond anything else.
A little seductive? Come on, Jacoby. All right. Let's bring in the judges.
Give Sigourney Weaver a little bit more credit.
Come on, Jacoby.
Be honest.
I didn't know how.
Galaxy Quest, Zooey Mama.
In this movie, she just chose that, a little bit,
So, Jacoby, when we play for our third time, can we argue most erotic Sigourney Weaver performance?
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Settle down, y'all.
Yeah, I think we can make it happen.
Thinking of erotic thrillers, 50 Shades of Grey.
Erotic thrillers. That would be an interesting.
When I watch Basic Instinct 2, watch out.
That'd be a really fun way to troll Fanzone players. You just submit like the horniest questions ever and have
Your bonus question in general movies. What's the sexiest erotic thriller?
That's what the bonus question should be.
Bill has gotten close with some of his.
That's
Payson, you are starting.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good fight. Some very interesting choices. Jacoby made a really unique pick with the Warden from Holes, and I'll be honest, he almost had me for a second thinking that the performance, that Hans Landa is just the performance. And I think going by his face, I think he knows what I'm about to say, where I think Spence did a really good job at saying, no, it's not just the performance. And I think Spence's point of, like, even when Hans Landa isn't on screen, you are always threatened by his presence. And while I do think Jacoby did a great job of showing, like, the Warden has a very interesting motivation, I think the things she does is very interesting. I think Spence did a great job of saying, hey, when the Warden is off screen, you're never like, I wonder what the fucking Warden's doing. I think Jacoby did a really solid job of trying to spin it's not lizards, it's cosmic intervention. Yeah, but the lizard. I'm giving Spence the point. Jacoby did a good job. Spence does get my point.
Javi.
I also went with Spence. I think for me, one thing that was like sort of a point that I just thought was funny, and it helped a little bit in the favor. Spence brought up that the backstory of the warden is sort of a meme that just brought to mind, and Spence will appreciate this Doofenshmirtz, like I was raised by ocelots, and that's why I made this anti-ocelotinator or whatever. Spence didn't say that, but that just brought it to mind. Yeah, I think it was just like what Payson said, the presence, just like feeling Hans Landa in every scene. This is one of the few times I've seen both movies, so I'm very proud of myself. But it's just the fact that it's like, yeah, you're never really scared by the warden. Not really. Like, you can acknowledge that her plan's kind of interesting, and like it's a way that, you know, like in a children's movie, like that's actually like very dark or whatever. But like Nazi, right? Like actual Nazi. And like it's not just like stereotypical Nazi, it's like very clearly like he's gonna get you. Like he definitely could get you and like reach out of the screen and get you. So not actually, I don't actually fear that. Anyway, but that's my
all right, spiel. My vote doesn't count. I also went with that. I thought that I said this in our last match that we shot a couple days ago that aired last week, that I love it when people take picks that I would not expect when giving the question. Spence's pick, definitely one that came to mind. Jacoby's nowhere near my mind, but totally valid and a really, really good pick. And Jacoby argued it really, really well. I think Spence just knows both of these movies. I could be totally duped by that. No, clearly not. They don't know holes. But they convinced me that, that basically everything Jacoby was saying was crap. And though I don't think that's true, the arguments proved it otherwise. And I think that Spence did a really good job arguing for Inglourious Basterds. So, Spence, yes.
The one thing I know when I did my research, yellow spotted lizards do not exist. It was just bearded dragons with paint on them.
This is true.
I've always wanted to talk about Warden Walker's plan because I do think it is a fabulous plan that nobody gives enough credit.
If we were arguing plans, I actually love your pick.
All right. So Spence stays in the game. That means we're moving on to the next question. This is the final prep question, so Spence does need to hit this in order to send it to the bonus round. So your question was drafted by Adelaide. It was in the category of Pixar. Your question is, who is the best lead character in a Pixar film? I'm looking forward to this one. Spence, you got 1 minute when you start talking.
It's kind of a broad joke on like Twitter and Facebook, bad plot descriptions. And if I told you I picked a movie where a dude's wife gets fucking murdered in front of him and has to raise his kid in constant anxiety, and eventually his kid literally runs away from him, and he can't find him across the entire world, but still is singularly motivated and driven to find his son, you think, how did this not win an Oscar? Because it's about fucking fish, okay? I think Marlin is like this incredibly empathetic character that is kind of magic the way that Pixar was able to translate that into, like, I was fucking 4 when that movie came out or some shit, and that still spoke to me. I understood the pain that he went through. That's how beautifully and magically his character is written. And through the entire film, he's a bit of an asshole, but you're still there with him. You want to see him succeed. You are there for the ride because of him, like the writing and Albert Brooks's fantastic performance. I think that this is one of the greatest characters written for any animated film, not just Pixar.
As Ellie would say, blub, blub. All right. Let's bring in Jacoby. Jacoby, you get 1 minute when you start talking.
Mr. Incredible, I think, is the best lead character in a Pixar film. The Incredibles is a top-tier Pixar movie for a lot of reasons, but I think one of the best is because Mr. Incredible is at its center. This story is told through his eyes, and we see his entire arc from suave hero to domesticated and depressed office drone who aspires to something more, to still being a hero, to having a shot to have another chance of glory, to the extreme lows of thinking he's lost absolutely everything, to building himself back up with his family beside him as he enters this next phase of his life. It's an incredible arc. arc that spans years, and he remains interesting throughout it all. He is always fun to root for, to laugh with, to laugh at, to watch do stuff and function, which other lead characters sometimes are not. He is not perfect, no, but he also has these flaws that make him so human, so vulnerable, so engaging to watch. But then, because then we get to see them evolve over time, and where he ends up is just an amazing arc. I don't want to keep saying incredible, but I'm going to keep saying incredible. His arc and his watchability at any stage of his life just, I think, makes him the best lead character in all Pixar.
I haven't shown Ellie this one yet, but if I had to guess, she would say no. But that's because there's no fish or lions in it.
You have to return her. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a great film. One day. But there's no fish or lions or talking cars. 5-minute freeform. One of you said.
I really don't like the way that you're saying that, like, oh, we're there with him the whole way, he's growing and he's changing, and like, you kind of get it. But I really don't think that he really changes that much. I think that the mistakes that he makes on his journey aren't ones that I'm really riding with, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hide from my wife this whole second life that I have, because she is like the one person who would understand what he's going through. She's gonna think I'm cheating and have to beat up the sexy secretary for it. There is a conversation to have. He needs to trust and love his wife. That simply fucking in the middle of her vacuuming is not like the drive that I care about the character for.
That's called character growth, Spence. That's what happens. He starts off as one way and then changes it by the end of it. And you get to see his arc because he thinks he's reliving the shot of his glory days. The way the movie portrays him being unhappy with his life now in order to and have a shot to do it again, only to have that realized when he thinks he loses his family, to broken down into nothing, to when it finally comes with he doesn't want to keep his family away because he doesn't want to be with them. He wants to keep his family away because he doesn't want them to get hurt. That's an amazing arc from start to finish. Marlon has a fantastic arc too, and I think an emotional one, but I think like his biggest flaw, he's not very interesting to watch go through the arc. He's a bummer of a character, constantly afraid and nervous for like 85% of the film, which yes, makes his end arc great, but you need to pair him with Dory in order to make this movie watchable, because if it's just Marlon the whole time, you can't do it.
I think that is like, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I think it's insane to be like, oh yeah, just because, Mr. Incredible is like funny, it's fine. Like I think when you're looking at Marlon, him, like his growth and his change is a lot more engaging, because I think of where he ends up, his final actual resolution of trusting Nemo and letting him go. That is an incredible moment of his, here is the singular point where you can see he has learned his lesson. Bob Parr, his like final lesson is, yeah, my family can fight too. I don't think his change is that radical. It's bringing them into his life rather than like him actually acknowledging the faults that he did. Marlon's change was he was aware that what he was doing was wrong, and he needs to trust his son. Mr. Incredible is like, yeah, sure, you guys can also put yourselves in danger and also be brought in my life, rather than acknowledging and apologizing for the mistakes that he made.
That's not, he says the words, I am not strong enough to lose you again. That's an incredible line coming from Mr. Incredible, the strongest man on the earth. To see what he thought he could have on his own, to think he could operate on his own, to function out in the world and do all this together with his family, makes a completely character. I'm not just saying he's funny, but he is funny. Marlon's not very funny, but intentionally. But I'm just saying that Mr. Incredible is fun to watch do stuff. Mr. Incredible is by himself on the island fighting that giant robot, and I could watch him do that. He's in his office helping the insurance company by himself, and I could watch him do that. Imagine Marlon alone doing anything. We're like, I don't know what to do. Do we do this? This is bad. This is bad. And just that's why you need someone to bounce off of him. You need him to be around other characters in order to do this, because he's not that interesting at his core. As you said in your opening, he's a bit of an asshole. And so is Bob, but that's in a more engaging and productive way that leads to true change all throughout the movie.
You are also arguing, I think a similar point for me is like, yes, like I think a lot of hit films on their basis, their lead characters aren't the most interesting. I think Marlon is like the perfect vessel for this story. Nemo is also like one of the lead characters, and having the back and forth, I think, is what makes Marlon more digestible. You're able to see the child fish's perspective, and I think it actually enriches his journey. Mr. Incredible is not really that interesting of a protagonist. Elastigirl is more interesting. They made her the fucking lead of Incredibles 2 for a reason. She's more engaging. I think that Dash and Violet are really fun characters to get involved with. Syndrome is a more interesting character as a villain. I think that he is the most boring lead character in your whole movie. And seeing his like, ooh, I'm getting strong montage doesn't really like engage me with his character. I think there are better ways to tell this story with him not as the lead. Finding Nemo has to be Marlon as the lead, not only because of how well he's written. I think the story demanded Mr. Incredible. Any character in that movie could fill that role instead.
Did you say like, oh, they made Elastigirl the lead in Incredibles 2? What's the name of your sequel again? I forgot of that one. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because Dory is the more interesting character in your movie, that's why they're paired. But Elastigirl does work with the family unit. But this is what's very interesting about that. Elastigirl's growth and warmth and everything about that makes Bob a better lead character for everything he does going forward. His getting strong montage is directly correlated to his flaws and his feelings of wanting one last shot of glory before leading to this all-out conclusion done in spectacular, incredible fashion where he gets to fight with his family. Everything that Bob does throughout the whole movie is engaging and interesting to watch from start to finish. Marlon himself as a lead character, as you said, like, oh, the other characters make him more interesting to sort of bounce off of in order to engage with. But just Marlon by himself, just doing these sort of adventures does not make for an interesting character because he has one note, which is like, where's my son? Where's my son? Where's my son? That's all it is. That's what it is, and the fear of that. There's no dynamics. There's no engagement around that. He's not well-rounded, unlike Mr. Incredible, who has all these different layers to him.
Finding Dory sucks. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, she's the lead character, it's better now. No! They need Marlon as the hero, the lead of the first movie, because she is undermining everything good about that fucking story. Ellen DeGeneres is a shitty fucking comedian, and her whole brand of like, oh, I'll tell funny jokes on the side actually makes the movie worse. If it was just Marlon, it'd be better.
Time. Okay, we are going to start closings with Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think Mr. Incredible has it all. He has a rewarding and complex arc where we see him at all stages from his life, from celebrated young hero to the depression that hits you when you reach middle age, to finding a new purpose and venturing out to prove he still has it, to the crushing loss of him thinking he lost his whole family, to threatening to kill Mirage, but even then his heroism wins out, to the joy of finding his family and realizing they're the most important thing, to fighting with his family. And throughout that arc, he, Mr. Incredible, remains a fascinating and interesting character to watch and enjoy. Even though he's animated, he feels like a real person with all of his well-rounded struggles, the joy of his successes, the sadness of his defeats, and you can just watch him do anything. I could watch him fight giant robots, or cheat the insurance system, or flirt with his wife, or yes, train in the train yard to get stronger and be disappointed that he's not losing the weight that he does, or he plays with his kids, or hang out with Frozone, all because he's the best lead character, as opposed to Marlon, who just sort of has one great arc, but at the sacrifice of making him engaging and interesting to watch, unless he has other people to bounce off of. Mr. Incredible's the best.
Whoa! Right. Hey now, Mr. Incredible's the best. Strike it from the record. My God. Spence. Oh, I put you a solo there a little early. 1 minute when you start.
Both characters evolve and change, yes. Yes, we see how Bob interacts with the rest of his environment. So does Marlon. The way that he grows and changes is not with, his family or anything directly like that. Watching him explore the ocean, you see you see him frame Nemo and how his son would go through all of these situations as well with the sharks or with the jellyfish or with like the guiding with the weird like big minnows like guiding him everywhere. You still see how that reflects on him as a character. You see in his reuniting with Nemo at the end, his growth as a character. He learns to tell a fucking joke. He literally does a 180 and learns to be a better fish. Mr. Incredible, I really don't think has that hook, that curve, that need to get better. His idea is just, oh, I'll be a superhero because I want to be, fucking popular and strong or whatever. And it's not him apologizing for his change or his mistakes or lying to his fucking wife. It's let me bring you in. I don't think that's an engaging story to engage with. Also, everyone else is more interesting. Where's my fucking Frozone movie?
Time. I would watch that. I lied to my wife once. It didn't go well.
Just the once. Never again.
Well, we weren't married yet. And she said, if you ever want to be married to me, you're not going to do that again. I said, oh, okay.
You learn. Good shit.
And it was play movie trivia.
I've never lied to my wife, so
that's fair.
Hell yeah.
Me neither.
I mean, I don't have a wife, but
the game is your wife.
That's so true. And I've never lied to the game.
Oh man, I love both these movies. Oh man.
Yeah, Jacoby picked a movie in my top 4 of all time. You motherfucker.
Is Brad Bird your favorite director?
Holy shit.
Slaps.
That was like the worst day of my life.
Greatest match of all time.
Not actually, but I was so hot. It was bad. It was like 102 degrees in my apartment. Oh man.
Ready?
Okay. This was good. I think it's funny that we were talking about the character arc and merits of a fish. And I liked Spence's opening, taking the I forget what you called it, but
Explain a film plot badly.
Yeah. I've seen that on the internet, and where it's the way they describe the plot of the movie, but it's very true. Both are great characters. Spence attacked Incredible in an interesting way, not a way that I was expecting. I don't know. I guess I couldn't in my head before when the arguments were starting. I was like, how is Spence going to go against Mr. Incredible here? And just really laying out he lies to his wife. Yeah, he does this. He puts his family in danger. Ooh, what a great guy. I'm like, oh, I've really never thought about it like that, and that's interesting. Jacoby, on the other hand, kind of took what Spence was saying, the negative stuff. Marlon is an asshole, and you need the other characters to feed off of him. So it was interesting. I thought both did a really good job. I ultimately went with Jacoby. I think Jacoby just overall kind of sold me on why Mr. Incredible has the better arc, story, situations. I think the point that really kind of sold it in my mind was Jacoby talked about how you could watch Mr. Incredible do anything and it's interesting, by himself even. So at the office, working out, whatever, and you're interested in the film. Whereas once you take the other characters away from Marlon, he becomes a lot less interesting. I thought that was a really strong point. So I went with Jacoby. Payson, your thoughts?
Yeah, I also thought this was a really good fight. I thought both players had a lot of interesting knocks against the other character. Like you said, Tim, I think Jacoby went at Marlon in a really interesting way of saying, Marlon does kind of just have one mode of where's my son, give me back my son, where's my son, and Spence saying, hey, by the end of the film, has Mr. Incredible really changed? All he's really done is just say, I want my family to help me be in the superhero business now, and I wasn't expecting that. Ultimately, I decided to go with Spence. And the reason for that was because I think Spence did a great job at knocking Mr. Incredible, saying, hey, at the end of the day, all of the other characters in your movie are just a little bit more interesting. And when Mr. Incredible isn't on the screen, you don't really lose too much, while Marlon just has so much in the film that you just have more to work off with Marlon. So Spence did ultimately get my vote.
All right. Javi, you're deciding this one. Are we going to the bonus round?
I went with Jacoby. I think
Written so well.
Wow, is that your handwriting?
Well, sometimes when I want it to be. I wrote both names and then I erased which one, so I can finagle with the handwriting a little bit more. I think Spence really attacked there's other characters that are interesting, and that's why, Elastigirl is basically the lead in 2. But Jacoby saying, Dory's the lead in your sequel, which is, Spence attacked that in a way, being well, that movie's bad. Yeah, but the reason why the Marlon Dory dynamic works is because if you separate them, they're annoying. Both of them are. one of them works only because the other one is slightly out annoying them in that specific scene. And it works, by the way. I'm not saying like they're both annoying and it sucks. No. The combination of two different types of like sporadic is fun. That's what makes the movie compelling. But Jacoby's answer of, yeah, but you could see Mr. Incredible. Tim brought this up. You can see Mr. Incredible literally doing anything, and it's just a ton of fun. And no matter what he's doing, you just kind of want to be like, yeah, I'd like to just watch this guy do it some more. Whereas Marlon, yeah, if he does anything alone, he's gonna just give you anxiety, and you're like, all right, settle down. We're gonna relax their fish. So I won't.
We're gonna relax their fish, he says. All right, well that means your winner is Jacoby Bancroft. We're gonna go to post-match interviews. We're gonna start by talking to Spence. Spence, really great match. You had a sweep, a split. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. It didn't come out your way. We didn't get to go to the bonus round, but I hear people hate the bonus round. So maybe you're happy about that. I don't know.
I mean, I got fucking runner-up in the last word, so I can't hate the bonus round.
Yeah, that's.
I told you a little bit already, but this is like the match I've had the least prep with. Like, if you saw my notes, it would be disgusting because there are 2 questions with literally no notes. It's been a rough couple weeks. So I am happy with how I did. Basically, kind of just freestyling almost everything. I think Jacoby would have won the action adventure question if he made a better pick. He just kind of threw a curveball and it kind of just hit a fan behind him. I think other than that, like, it's, Jacoby's fucking great. He's played for titles. I'm kind of just a speed bump on his way to the finals probably. But this actually helped a lot with my current state. So I'm happy that I showed up, even if I kind of stumbled like 80% of the time.
I don't think you even stumbled. I really enjoyed your arguments. I mean, I think we voted for you half the time, but I mean, Spence, I get it. Shit sucks. Life sucks sometimes. I'm glad you were still here. We talked earlier and I said you've been playing lights out. So I'm glad that we were able to make this work despite some scheduling issues. I love seeing you here in debate. I think you're fantastic. And I look forward to seeing what you do next. I hate asking the question of who do you want to play next, but genuinely, is there someone that would just bring you joy to like yell at for an hour?
I'm going to see Jack Pinchuk at time of filming 2.5 months. I'm going to destroy the man physically, and then I hope that I can destroy him verbally in debate.
My God. Okay. Here at TBNT Inc., I'm supposed to I'm supposed to not hate Jack Pinchuk.
Sorry.
But secretly, let me know how that goes.
I'll do a non-violent threat, Jack. I'm going to go into all of your DVDs and switch what DVDs in which case.
Oh,
okay. So someone's done that to me before, and it's not funny. But I also have OCD. But that's, if you want to fuck with Jack, that is the way to do it. Spence, congrats on a match. Really well played. We'll see you next time. As you bring in the winner, Jacoby Bancroft, a really good match. I think Spence gave you a run for your money. I think this was a really, really good match from both of you. But 3 points, not having to go to the bonus rounds, got to feel pretty good. How you feel?
Yeah, it feels great, but yeah, Spence is fantastic. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I don't think there was one question I felt like safe on. Like and while I was like waiting for the deliberations on any of them, I really thought any question could go either way, and so Spence had me on the ropes for like they were fighting back against with these arguments that like, oh, like they're bringing the heat. So, and I was I was stumbling and not forming the sentences I even wanted to do. So Spence is great. So they shouldn't knock themselves. Spence, you're awesome. Don't keep debating because it's very fun to watch. I love how Spence attacks questions, approaches questions, they're vicious, like, right? Those go like right at it. I'm like, it's like, okay, I was like, it's fantastic. But I'm very happy with the win. Overall, I'm sad I didn't win the Warden Walker because that is the one I truly believe that is in my heart that Warden Walker is a fantastic villain and the best villain. But that's fine either way. Overall, I am happy. Yes, thank you guys.
Jacoby, you're moving on to round number 2 of this tournament. Do you want the serious question or the joke question?
Joke question.
Okay. You're
Or
going up
I-
against. This is who your next opponent is.
Okay.
You're going up against Bill Carriola. Your thoughts?
Okay, I've never debated Bill, and my goal. I always like to debate. I want to debate everybody, right? I want to debate everybody once, and Bill is going to just be hilarious and a lot of fun. So I look forward to that. Unless that's the joke answer. Is there a serious answer? What is?
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
understand.
lying to you. Bill had to unfortunately drop out. So coming in his place.
You should have just cut me off. What are you talking about?
You were supposed to play Bill. He beat Jack. Unfortunately, he had to drop out.
Okay.
He has been replaced with the next closest ranking person, Nazario Montenegro. So that's who you're
Nazario again. I've debated him twice, I think.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so.
so. That's which is fine. Nazario's gonna be fun. He's just gonna hit me with the this point is stupid. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense. But that's great. All right, bring it on, Nazario. Nazario, if you're watching this, I don't want to make it seem like I'm not excited to debate you. I am excited. It's gonna be a good time. Let's rock and roll.
I told him 2 nights ago. I said, "Hey, you're in, buddy," and he went, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Damn." Let's do it. So I think he was excited for either of you, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun one. So I look forward to seeing you in round 2, Jacoby. We will see you then. But that's gonna do it for us today at Fanzone Debate. Thank you to my hotspot for holding out during this match. Thank you to Javi and Payson for judging this one. Thank you to Spence and Jacoby for rescheduling and making it work. Really appreciate it. The show thanks you. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes who helps make this run. Mark Menchaca, Brian Michaels, Kurt Kolkowski. We all appreciate it. Jesus Christ. All right, we'll see you next time with another great match. Round 2 starts next week. Joe Farrelly, Robert Kastner. It's going to be exciting. We'll see you next week.
There we go. Thanks a lot. Come again.
Hey, I won't forget what you've done for me here today.
I would prefer that you do.